I have a theory. It's the everyone ends up in the Matrix theory. You know how Neil deGrasse and his ilk, Elon Musk, the simulation people that, the people that have, excuse me, openly admitted that in terms of probabilities, it's very likely that we are in a simulation. How would you know? That's always the question. How would you know? It's too bright. And even, you know, when you're listening to Matt talk about how ridiculous reality is, what's he comparing it to? Some memory of how it was in 1995? I mean, there are people saying that their own memories can't even be trusted via the Mandela effect. Some guy was writing or leaving a comment and he said his own handwritten notes changed. And I would put forth that you wouldn't even know either way, because you're remembering back to that time. If memories can be fucked with, then it's how would you know? If memories can be implanted, if MK Ultra has really evolved itself into a super beast, along with maybe D-Wave. Maybe the Nazis found whatever they found in Tibet and went flying off into the other dimensions. Even Og said, a fundamental right that you have in general is that you are allowed to ask where you are. This is, of course, assuming multiple worlds, the multiverse theory. He also mentioned at one point that what they told him was this particular Earth iteration had a very specific code to it. Like, you know, if you're gonna number things, you'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, 8A. 9A, 10A, 1A, XY, 2A, XY, 3A, XY, something like that, like where it starts, the thing keeps getting more and more complicated, but it's all the same, it's different versions of the same thing. So that's how he worded it, which made it seem like there were a billion other Earths. And of course, all of this overgeneralization, I don't know if it's necessarily helpful, because when you start saying things like we're living in one of literally a billion other Earths, you're already beyond the mind's capability of really understanding the second you say the word billion. Of course, the mind does understand what that means, but it understands in terms of its lack, in terms of its limited access to memory or to information at the current moment. So that's how the mind understands something like the word billion. And then also, you know, if I were to hear this proposition that we're always allowed to ask where we are, who would we be asking here? You know? I haven't seen any authority figures yet. The president? Look at the white birds. I don't know what those are. I don't know who to ask. If you're in a what do you call it? You know, a dream life, dream world simulation thing. Who do you ask? The president's just making jokes on Twitter. You know. I don't know how I would get a hold of him anyway, and I don't want to ask him. And then also, if you did find out what number your Earth iteration was, how would that help you? Even back to the other idea of Earth being the central filtration hub for other dimensions. That's true even outside of... Even if you go into your conventional Arrowwood space, you know? Go to any drug forums, trip reports. They may not be saying that exactly, but that's what they're saying when they're saying, well, first I was sitting in my room, you know, with a friend on Earth. And then I took some salvia. And then I, zoom, flew off somewhere, somehow. And everything was insanity, and I wasn't on Earth anymore. And I was in full-blown insanity for forever. And then I came back to Earth. And of course they're changed by that trip. Probably more so than they realized, but they still came back to Earth. Because there has to be some baseline, otherwise that mental fracture happens. Or else it's just whatever consciousness is floating around in just literally infinite amounts of ways of experiencing. Maybe the baseline, when you have, say, found your center, maybe the baseline is just simply that, and the exterior world, it doesn't matter anymore. That's a possibility. But still, it doesn't stop, you know, it doesn't stop curiosity about the realm which we seem to be inhabiting and the strangeness of it. I mean, the strangeness is... The only way to explain the strangeness is to say, well, I came from, or you came from, some place where stuff used to kind of like not be so mind-bogglingly retarded, or retarded is a bad word, where, you know, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like all the oomph has gone out of the you know, the players or the beings, the individual beings that are supposed to be here doing stuff. It's like all the oomph is just like deflated balloons. There's just feeble attempts at it's very strange. I hear some more birds. What are those? Herons? I think those were the types populating the tree. Herons and crows. That's a nice little. That's gotta be an omen, right? Blackbirds and whitebirds. Eating tidbits. I just finished the story. What's it called? Soul Catcher. It's the 4th story in that book, which is Whipping Star, the Dosadi Experiment, the Santaroga Barrier, and Soul Catcher. And that book was amazing. I would recommend everybody go get all of those stories and read them, by Frank Herbert. I'm actually gonna send it to Lauda at some point. Maybe that's where I'm getting my you know, how do you know different as compared to what? I think maybe the what that I'm comparing it to is storybooks. Because you can describe an entire universe in a book. And the way the inhabitants interact with each other, what sort of energy is flowing through the place, or if any energy is flowing through, or if it's just a stagnant pool of mud, or pseudo-mud, you can tell maybe spirit is the correct word. There's spirit flowing through the place. You know, maybe there's mystery in the air. I don't know. And also other theories. There are lots of theories. This could be like a resting place. For me, this is kind of a resting place, even though it's stressful. I mean, it's like annoying. I wouldn't really say stressful that much, but it's annoying how the realm is just obstinately refuses to make anything really like simple. But it's not unworkable, it's workable. It just requires tenacity and keep it moving forward. But aside from that, it's like resting from something. That's why even back in the day when I made that video, What is Earth? That was like one of my first AUG response videos. When I made that, I was proposing that we were on some sort of a quarantine planet for whatever reason. You know, maybe we're bad kids and prisoners here because of something we did, or you know, maybe we come from, I don't know, a dying realm and we need another one. Who knows? I just know that the place is strange. And I also know that where I came from, and you know, to me it's a sort of continuous thing, but with all of which seems on Earth. I don't have direct memories of like being out in the galaxies or anything like that. I just have feelings that don't jive with this place for the most part, or I just know. it wasn't always calm and resting. It was at sometimes horrifyingly violent. And I have very shadow memories of very violent violence, that which I had to recede from. It's almost like having shadow memories of dying, because the body is going through horrific violence, and you carry on to the tail end of the memory until you vacate the vehicle. And I have those, and even more of that has faded now, being in this sleep realm thing, whatever this is. But all I can say is it gets more and more quiet. It doesn't get louder. There aren't people coming saying, having fantastic theories, or let's people come in and let's really get this thing going and do something. People come to me with some small, they don't even do that really. They don't there's even the people around are a reflection of the quietness. It's like some sort of a sacred stillness that's not supposed to be disturbed. That's why people aren't coming and saying, let's do this, let's do that. And that's why I don't have the inclination to go and make this sort of a thing happen. It's like, if it's gonna be a resting or a waiting, then why not rest? A lot of times I still try and do stuff even when I'm supposed to be resting. And it could be that this is just a learning curve, Your soul, whatever is the accumulation of your continuity through the lives, if there is such a thing, your soul knows why you're here. My soul knows why I'm here, it just is not telling me exactly and directly. I get hints. Here and there I get hints, and even those ones are stinchily offered. And also, and maybe it's just when my personal belief structures change that I witness these effects, but people are different in that they aren't so hell-bent on protecting their own belief structures, which maybe is reflecting out because of mine are changing as well. But or like Matt would always say, the Dementors is out there and he's sucking all of your life force. But I don't want to say that, because I'm going to make the Dementors out there suck all your life force. We don't want to manifest it into happening. I always laugh when he says that, because every time you speak, you're doing that. Every time you speak anything. It's not just when you're talking about the Dementors or, the hidden hand, as, what do you call it? What's his name? The old flat earth guy back in the day. Hidden hand. Anyway, I forget everything, but that's the funny thing, is like, all of the words are manifesting. Every single one. And then we get a collection of words, and we somehow a sacredness gets attached to that, and then that collection, spans out over a few centuries or whatever, a few doodads. I don't know how the word for thousand, I don't know, centipede. It's send something. None of the words mean anything to me anymore. They just come flying out, and they're somewhat stickyable to each other. And I don't have any particular reason for attaching significance to this or that word, because the realm doesn't require it. It doesn't care. The realm doesn't care at all. It's very ambivalent. Like I said, the only thing the realm cares about is that I make money. And even the realm doesn't really care about that. And I'm sure the realm would be just as fine if I was like sitting with the homeless people, or, you know, out in a cave in the woods. The realm doesn't care at all. And the realm will still take care of me if I do those things too. That's my own personal hang-up that I'm dealing with money situation. Or, you know, a personal challenge is a better way to say it. Because it's not that cement mushrooms. It's not that, you know, big of a thing. It's something to do, I guess. And people's behavior is just different, you know, like, it's probably because I'm just reflecting myself out there. That's the only thing I can think of. Especially if it's a dream state, then that makes completely more sense. It's literally like, it's just a dream state. It's a physical dream state. And technically, you know, we should be just going hog wild because we're just in a dream, you know. Of course, you probably could have applied that to any world and, you know, use that as a reason to self-motivate to do something other than sitting on your ass all day doing nothing. But the fact that it very clearly seems to be some sort of a dream state or holding cage or whatever that's not heavily monitored in as far as creative movements. Okay, maybe you can't go out and punch somebody in the face because the system will try to suck you into the prison system. But the motions and movements that you can do outside of your daily self-prescribed, you know, routine. I know I just say this all the time, but I never see it. And I'm not excluding myself from that. I like getting into the routines too, because I've been on such a, I never have had a routine in my life, ever. When I was at the school when I didn't like it. I resisted it. And then I came out the other side, you know, when I broke up with my girl, and I'm free, and I'm learning very, very tentatively what it feels like to have some routines, and they're comfortable, you know, they're comforting. I didn't know that a routine could be like that. I just thought it was all ugly, nasty things. And also, if you're in the Matrix, you know, isn't the dude with the white hair supposed to call you up pretty soon? You know, give you a mission or something? This Matrix is boring, that's all I can say. And again, it's probably something to be grateful, because I have been in enough of the mental anguish, torture, that I can appreciate a bit of rest when I get it. But the Matrix is boring, this realm is boring. Sorry, it is. And we all should be doing more things, as far as like making the avatar life seemingly nice or exciting. We should. I don't know exactly how to do it. You know, we're floating in a sea of, I don't know, honey? Slow moving dream state realm. It's like the ideas are becoming less say a manifesting idea. Let's do this. You say it to somebody, let's do this, anything. something that's not just easy, like let's go outside and kick a rock for 5 minutes. Something slightly more complicated, like eat it. Let's make some Reiki. I want to make a Reiki documentary. I want you to help. I said, okay, good. Go talk to all the people. And even if you're listening to this, I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think you're listening anyway. I'm just making a point. So she said, I have 3 people I'm going to talk to. And that would basically be the starting point to making that manifestation into the reality. And, you know, she said she called 1 or 2 of the people or left messages and they didn't respond, you know. So it requires putting more effort into it. But what I'm saying is, like, so it hasn't happened yet and she's stopped talking about it. But it might happen still. What I'm trying to say is that it's difficult to manifest here. I'm not knocking Eden or anything like that. I mean, it's the same thing with myself. You have, say, an amazing idea and you're excited about it. Maybe you get other people in on it and somehow the idea falls asleep inside of your mind, or else you get onto some other thing. So it's very strange manifesting here. And maybe it's because, you know, maybe it's because shit got out of hand and people were being too debaucherous and hedonistic, you know, taking those things to their utter limits if they're doing the service to self thing, knowingly or unknowingly. Maybe that's what happened, is the internal thought, idea, manifestation machine inside of the mind, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe people just, it got out of hand with people's desires and, you know, powerful people doing behind the curtain things. We know all the violence that's been talked about in the realm, at least with you know, the community we have on Facebook and YouTube, talking about baby rape and sex trafficking, you know, like actual sacrifices. What's her name said she watched an actual child sacrifice. She watched this kid get burned. What's her name? I forgot her name. That, you know, I forgot her name. See, this, me not being able to remember is a part of the mellowing out. You know, it's too much sometimes. Teal Swan, right? She, in one of her videos, she said she literally watched a child getting sacrificed, okay? And I mean, like, this was a child. She said they put the kid up on the, you know, the thing, and she said she watched the child's flesh melting off. And that's just one person saying one thing, and she's, you know, whether or not you like her or think she's a fraud or anything about that, it doesn't matter. Either she saw it or she didn't, you know. And there's enough nasty shit floating around out there that the fact that the child sacrifice could have happened is not outside of the bounds of possibility. And of course, this is all satanic stuff. This is like devil worshipping stuff. This is, you know, when you get the parasite and it just takes hold too strongly and you can't come back to the light, so you just fall in there, and it's not. I think people misunderstand about people doing so-called wrong stuff. It's different than like the I don't even know. It's different than the common understanding of, oh, you bad person, like you did that bad thing. It's like, no, the whole circumstances of that person's life led them to that point. And the stronger power won out. So if the stronger power inside them said, sacrifice this child because otherwise you're going to lose your standing in the community of Satanists, and you know, you're going to lose power, and we're going to oust you, and you're going to be homeless. Or if these unconscious fears are running in the background, maybe then he'll do it, you know? If he actually is dancing with the devil, the devil is a powerful thing. This negative entity is very powerful, obviously. Whether or not it's purely archetypal or an actual being running around or floating around or flying around, it doesn't matter. It's a presence that must be dealt with. And someone like, you know, someone like my dad might hear that story of a child sacrifice and just say, well, there's no way that happened. This is America. There are laws against that. No, this is spirit world. Everything can happen. Unless you do your self-work and get yourself to a place of quiet where everything can happen. You don't want everything happening, trust me. You don't want everything happening. I'm gonna go now. Take care, everybody.